If everyone can go ahead and find their seats, we're going to get started. I could talk through the mask, but I'm going to keep my 6 feet of distance over here, or 12 or 20. But welcome. This is kind of a bit of a dream for me. My name is Sean. I'm the president of the Redwood Writers Club. Welcome and happy holidays to everybody. Since the whole pandemic started over 20 months ago or more, this was my dream to be able to get together and actually have a celebration in December. And with all the happy masked faces that are here, we're able to pull it off. So this is a celebration for each and every member. Whether you're brand new, we've got 17 or 18 new members that just joined this past year, to the 200 plus that have been part of the club for more than 10, 5, 10, 15, some as many as 20 plus years. So Roger's prepared a slideshow. We'll go through some of those. The way the program is going to work today is we're going to share, some members will have an opportunity to share just a few tidbits about what they like about the club or what drew them to the club, and just make it as personal as possible. We're going to break that up with Linda Reed and her entire team, including Les and Fran, and the poetry contest winners. Then we'll come back and follow up with a few more member recognition opportunities. And we will close with the grand finale, which is our immediate past president, Roger Lubeck, who is the recipient of the 2021 Jack London Award. So with that, let's give him a round of applause. We'll kick it off and let's go ahead and roll with some of the slides, Roger. This is your board of directors. Many of you know who we are. Not everybody is here in person, but this is a wonderful group of people to work with. There are disagreements from time to time behind closed doors, but that's the beauty of good leadership, is that we can actually disagree and come back together and then have compromise. In any company or organization I've been a part of, if everybody nods their head and are yes people, that's when you need to watch out, because that means that there is no leadership and nobody is really paying attention to anything because they don't want to speak up. So long-term members, is Linda McCabe online today?
Linda's been with us since 2000.
No.
She was a past president, and she's been a very active member throughout. She did a workshop or session 2 years ago.
She's done a session a couple years ago, and she's also instrumental. Whenever we do the anthologies, Linda likes to step up and be the person who does the final copy to make sure the table of contents and all the little detail stuff that slips through the editors, or has a tendency to slip through the editors. And she caught a lot of little things, and she's just an invaluable resource, wonderful writer. Roger, I'm going to leave the other three to you.
I don't believe they would be online. Mary is also a president and our oldest member, really. Alicia has been in and out of the club on different occasions, but started in 2007. Now this next group, we have at least one here, Janice here. This group joined in 2008 and 2009. So we have Belinda, Bellinger, Bodie, Janice right here, who can probably have her say a word.
Jan, come on up while Roger's introducing the others, and we'll have you say it.
And
so we sent out a questionnaire, just basically share with the group what drew you to the club and what has kept you coming back since 2007 or 2014, and spend a couple minutes and share it with them.
Here you are. Yeah.
Okay, so my partner of many years, my wife, Mary Stella, was always looking out for me. She knew I loved to write, but I was not writing and couldn't find a place to join. And she pointed out an ad for the Redwood Writers, but the weekend before, unfortunately for me, I had gone to respond to a writing club that was looking for members in Sebastopol, and I did not have any idea. I decided I couldn't join that, whatever that was about. I don't remember. But Mary Stella said, no, this one you really got to check out. I said, okay. So, of course, Linda was there and lots of these great people, and I just asked a lot of questions. And then before I knew it, Linda was up on stage introducing new members. And they called me a new member, and I just laughed. I said, well, I haven't joined yet, but I intend to. So that's how it happened, and I love the Redwood writers. I just feel it's not, I do feel the support, but even more than that, I feel the connection with everyone, whether I really know you or not, because we're here looking for those gifts within us to bring it out to the world. And it just makes me feel so good to be with this group. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let share.
And don't take off yet, because we've got, Roger and I put together a little gift package for folks who are here. They include a Redwood Writers notebook and an extra Redwood Writers pen. So no more refrigerator magnets. We did the real deal this time.
I have a story of how Redwood Writers rescued me, and I'll try to make it short. I'll give you the short version. It was October 2009, and I was feeling really depressed and discouraged about my memoir. I've been working on this memoir for about at least over 20 years. So I had been working on it, and luckily, thank God, that's the only time in all these years that I have felt that discouraged. And so after about 6 weeks.
Keep
are
going.
we losing the mic?
No, you're fine. Keep
Yeah,
going.
come closer to me though,
Okay,
so that they can hear you online. Come closer to me.
There you go.
It's picking you up here.
okay.
Yeah.
So after about 6 weeks on this one Sunday afternoon, I said to my husband, let's go over to Copperfield's in Santa Rosa bookstore and hang out there and have coffee and relax and so on. So we did, and we walked into Copperfield's, and they were in another smaller, actually much cozier building at the time. And we walked in, and there was this group of about 30 people. And at first, of course, I just thought it was a book signing. But I noticed this very dynamic woman with short blonde hair, Linda Reed, of course, and she got my attention immediately. And so I stood there just on a whim. I stood there and listened, and I realized, wait a minute, this isn't a book signing. I don't know what this is. And so I noticed a table that had flyers on it, and I walked over to the table. What is this? Said, this is Redwood Writers, Sonoma County Writers Club. Oh, sorry. This is Redwood Writers, Sonoma County Writers Club. And I went, oh, that's interesting. So the next day I got on the online, on the internet, on the website, and it was like a beacon of hope, just shined out to me. And so that was October 2009. So in November, very next month, November 2009, I went to the first meeting. And then in December was the total breakthrough. I went to the salon, the holiday salon, and it was absolutely fantastic. One of the best salons ever. It was about 30 people there.
Wow.
It was, very festive. It was in Sandy Baker's old house, in her ranch house out in the country. And I totally fell in love with the salon, and the quality of writing, the talent was just so inspiring and wonderful. And I've been inspired by your talent and creativity ever since, for the whole last, I guess it's 11 years now. And so thank you, Redwood Writers, and you wonderful, wonderful, creative people. It's been a beacon of hope and inspiration all this time.
Thank you. You guys know, how long did you do the salon? Was it 10 years?
About 8 or 9 years.
8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
She was doing the salon every
And
other month
leading
for
the
8 or 9 years.
I lost track after 8 years.
You're having so much fun.
Yes.
And they
So you've heard this name dropped by a shorter blonde-haired firecracker of a woman by the name of Linda Reed. And you've been up a part of this club too, and I know you just came on, so I'm not even gonna give you a chance to catch your breath. I'm gonna throw you out of the frying pan in the fire, because that's what you taught me. So Linda, tell us what brought you to the club in the beginning.
You know, I saw an ad in the paper in 2008, and I said, oh my gosh, there's writers, because I'd been writing a book. I didn't know anything about writing, and I was sort of in the middle of my first novel, and I felt like I was sort of doing it alone. And I saw this ad, and I went to over to a place in Katati in the back of a restaurant. And I met these wonderful people. They were so friendly and really extended a lot of warmth to me. And so I continued to go. And it wasn't too long, maybe 6 months into it, that they had a turnover in their officers. And so somehow or another, I ended up president, and I was for 3 years. And I adored every minute of it. I really did. I love this club. I love everybody in it. And I think that it's so heartwarming to see people who want to be creative, who are trying to hone their skills. We have done so many things. You know, we've had writers' circles, in which I chair now. And of course, we've had our wonderful anthologies, and we've had so many wonderful seminars and helpful, and our conferences have been spectacular. We're just such a successful organization, the most successful organization in the California Writers Branch by far. And it's because we're really writers helping writers. And I just think that it's important that the work that we're doing, and the board, I know how hard you work, and it's so appreciated by all of us. So I love you all, and it's just wonderful to have this moment that we are sharing how much it has meant to us. And by the way, all that volunteer work that I was doing, it only inspired me. You know, people that say, oh, I need to write. I don't have time for this other stuff. But what happens is you are around writers, and when you are around writers, you write. And I published 2 novels while I was president. So it really does work. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, Linda. So, you know, for those that don't realize it, Linda is still very, very active behind the scenes. She's the chair of the poetry anthologies, and we'll come back to that. Our poetry anthology as well as the poetry contest. We'll segue into that in a moment, but we're going to look at a couple more slides here. What was this one, Roger? What was it?
Here, John, let me do it. I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can just do it. So what we've got is, these are the 2010 and 2011 new members. Jan Raleigh's not with us today, but she's very active, and I see her on Facebook almost every day. Robert Digitali was one of our editors for our anthology, and he's a very active writer. And Natasha Yim, of course, just did a workshop or a session a month ago, and is extremely successful in her children's books, and has been with us since 2011, and also is in Mendocino. Now this, you can't see because of that. So these are folks that joined in 2012, and it's a huge list that includes John Abbott, one of our editors, and anthology editor, Robbie Summers Bryant, Fran Clegg, Marlene, who I think is right there on our screen. You can see her, there she is waving. So maybe we can get Marlene to say something in a minute. Tony Heron, of course, is a very successful author. Anna Mara-wearing, Betty Less, extremely successful poet. Waits Taylor, the guy that sells more at the fair than anybody else. Gene Wong, our chief contest winner. Gene has won every contest she's entered, I believe. But this is a group from 2012. You want to have Marlene say something to us, Marlene?
Sure, thank you. I joined Redwood Writers in 2007. My friend Pat Tyler told me about it, and we had a group of us. Brenda's in the audience today too. She was one of the people. We had a group of us who attend meetings. My first meeting was on 4th Street in Santa Rosa, next to a music shop that had band practice during our meetings.
Uh-huh.
That was when Linda McCabe was president. And then we moved, then Karen Batchelor was president. We moved to a small restaurant in Katati. Then we moved to the larger Chinese restaurant that had the flower explosion, one on the corner there. And what I found with Redwood Writers is the meetings change. The focus seems to change depending on the president. For example, when Linda Reed was president, Linda, I think membership tripled during your presidency. And you
Well,
brought-
thank you. There was a lot of people working hard to make that happen.
Right.
And
right.
you were one of them because you put on our first really exciting conference at the Flamingo, and we were just dazzled.
That was amazing. And I want to also give a shout out to Karen Batchelor, who was also an amazing president before Linda. Sadly, Karen passed away too young. She brought the anthology to the club. I think there was, she's the one that had a vision for the anthology, and there's been an anthology every year since. I think I've worked on, except not the first anthology, I think I've worked on every one. And the writing is getting stronger and richer. I tell everybody about Redwood Writers, all the writers I know. I think it's a great group, and I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, Marlene.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlene. I'm going to pass this back over to Roger, but there's quite a few on this list here, including my wife, Chrissy, Pamela Hack, that are and Elaine that are in the audience today. So
Dimitri's here too, I think.
Dimitri's here. Where's Dimitri?
And Elaine's here. Dimitri.
All right, so you guys all want to come up and say a few words in a sec. I'm going to have Roger go through this list just at one time.
Well, this is a large list. I don't need to go through the whole list, but what's important here is just what Marlene said and Linda. Under Linda's presidency, and then on into Robbie, there was a tremendous growth in the membership. And, you know, we started meeting at the Flamingo. That's where I first met Linda and Robbie. So was Brian. And then Sandy, who was soon to be president, Sandy Baker. And so I think you can see, though, Christina Goulart is won a number of contests, a great writer, and often is sitting at the front desk. Bo Kearns and Dave Hooper have been at the fairs and volunteered in events. Rebecca Rosenberg, Adele Layton, who's on our board, Elaine, who's a rock, who's been a rock, Joanne Rosen, who is one of our interior designers and has done the poetry, Wendy Bartlett, a great writer, Inga Asmat. I mean, this is a really great group. So if you're on this list, why don't you come forward so we can recognize you?
All right, so I joined in 2013. It was purely selfish. I was interested in self-publishing my book, and at that time I was a writer for the Press Democrat, which is our local newspaper, and I wrote an article on self-published authors. And one of them was Jordan Rosenfeld, who will be January's speaker this next year. Well, she was also the speaker for my very first meeting. And I was so enthused by what she had to say and by everybody that was at the meeting, and I just felt like I'd found home. Here was a place with, here, let me take this off. Let me not struggle with this. Here was a place with all of you writers, and I found my people, and I suddenly didn't feel all alone. So I published my first book then, and since then I've published 11 books. So that's since 2013 to now, and
What a slouch.
hopefully in 2022 I have a couple more coming out. So this is what Redwood Writers does, is it inspires you, you're around your community, you have people to ask questions, you have support. And I do have to say something about volunteering for this club. That's when everything started flourishing for me. When I got to know everybody, I was newsletter editor before, now I'm newsletter editor again. I love it. So if you want to get more involved, if you're already a member and you want to get more involved, find a way to volunteer and serve your club. And this is how you can, if you want things changed, there's a way you can do it. If you want to get to know more people, so there's my pitch for that. So I love being a part of this club. Thank you.
Okay, I have been in the club, obviously, I could remember, but since 2015, and I really can't tell you how I found out about the club. It just seems one day I was here. The first thing I remember was the new members meeting, and it was at Sandy Baker's beautiful home, and everybody was so welcoming. And at that meeting, I hooked up with my writer support group, which was for people that were writing children's books. And Sandy Baker was in that group, and Jeannie Jositis. And I just want to do a shout out to those two because they did more to help my writing when I first joined that group. And since then, I've been in the anthologies, both the poetry anthology and the regular ones. And for anybody thinking about joining, that's such a wonderful opportunity to get the opportunity to work with an editor, to see yourself in print. If that's the first time you've ever done it, it's really wonderful. And I was the volunteer coordinator for our last conference. And I'm hoping that sometime soon we'll be able to do another live conference. And having been a volunteer coordinator, let me tell you that just want to kind of piggyback on what Chrissy said. If you want to feel connected to the club, if you want to meet people, and if you want to pick up a lot of great tips about writing, be a volunteer.
Gotcha.
Tape it down.
Hi, everybody. I think I've never been in a group like this before. And I don't do very well when I speak. I express myself best when I'm writing. And I never had that opportunity much before I found this group. And I just love it. And it's just a group of people that really sincerely care about what's going on with other people in the group. And it's just, I love this. The people here are incredible. And I just feel very grateful to be a part of it, even though I'm very shy and a backstage guy. So it's good to be here.
Tell us your name, Dimitri.
What?
Tell us your name. Tell them your name.
My name?
Yeah,
Do I have a name? Oh,
you do.
my name is Dimitri Russo Morningstar. And it's really a joy to be here and to know all you kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you, Dimitri.
Hi, I'm Elaine Rock, and I have to reiterate that everything Pam said is absolutely true. I joined in the same year in 2015 and learned so much about writing. I had just met two people I'm still writing about, and I have good news later, but I learned how to write, and not only that, the congeniality and the help that I got through the anthologies and being in them and the editing was absolutely the right thing for me at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. And and then what I wanted to do was, because I got so much good feedback and good hints, that I became part of the board and was co-chair of the last conference. And yes, it would be wonderful to have another one and see everybody there, because you do learn an awful lot. Experts come in and you get good training. So anyway, thank you very much for everybody that's here and those that aren't, because this membership has helped my writing very much. Thank you.
So if there's anybody here who is not a member, who just happened to be invited and sitting there, you can see some of the reasons why people stick around for 5, 10, 12, 14, 20 years. And another reason is, as some have already mentioned, the anthologies. Chrissy and I have spent the last 6 months putting together a club anthology that I'll share with you a proof copy in a little bit. But one of the other things that the club does outside of the salons and the writer's circle is put together contests. And I'm going to turn it over to Linda Reed and Les Bernstein to talk about our latest contest, which is the poetry contest. And I'm not going to steal a bit of their thunder, because both of these women are very well organized. They have an entire thing set up. I am just going to introduce both of them and say thank you for the volunteer efforts that both of them and Fran Clegg have put in, because it's an ongoing process and there's never a dull moment when it comes to poetry. So Linda, Les, take it away.
Okay, we did. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to begin by introducing, I'm not sure if Fran was here. She was having a little trouble getting on. But Fran Clegg was a judge. Susan Gunter, who is not able to be with us today, was a judge. And I must say that Susan lost her husband in the middle of this judging. And of course, we offered to, get another judge. And she said, no, I need to be busy. And she persevered. She said, I just love this poetry and I love the club and I want to do this. So, I mean, wow. And I need less Bernstein, less waves, so we know who we're talking about. And I've been the chair of this contest, I think, since its inception. And I'm the liaison with for the anthology, for the poetry anthology. You know, we have this a poetry book we do every year. I mean, there isn't a club that does that. And we really do it because we want to honor all the people in the club who care so much about poetry. Now we have the anthology every other year, but now we're having it every year because we have Les and Fran Clegg, and they want to do the book every year. We're going to launch that in January, so I'm not going to say a lot about it now, but get your poems ready. What I am going to do is introduce to you Les, who has been so wonderful about jumping in and just being a part of poetry in Redwood Writers. She inspires, she sends a poem out every day, and has worked on the contest as well as editor with Fran on the poetry anthologies. So she was the head judge of this contest. We're going to have the contest every year. And we're continuing with the anthology till we just can't stand up any longer. And so, and sometimes I wonder, okay, just when Sean says it never stops, believe me, it doesn't stop. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce you to a wonderful poet and a wonderful person, Les Bernstein.
Thank you, Linda. Well, first of all, thank you, Sean, for having this happen under such short notice, and for Tina Deason also for making sure that we did get our contest. We had decided this year to take the winners of the contest and have them be the featured poets in the coming anthology, which will be announced around January 15th. So I don't want to take too much time talking about that. I want to go right into who the winners are. But I will say this was tough. The quality of writing that we got was extraordinary. It was so hard to find, the best three and the three honorable mentions. What I would say to you, and I say this from all the judges and Linda also, who saw all the poems, if you submitted a poem to the contest and you did not win, please submit it to our anthology, because the two editors loved everything. So, I'm going to start.
Les, I just wanted to say too, remind everybody how successful this contest was. We had 118 poems, so it was tough.
It really was tough. So I'm going to start with the honorable mentions, and they're not in any order. And the first honorable mention is a poem called Purple Dust. It was by Joanne Smith. And one of the things that struck us about this poem was that it had incredibly strong stanzas. Every stanza was so strong that if you took the first line from each stanza, and there was 6 stanzas, you would have had a poem in itself, just using those first lines. So she's one of our honorable mentions.
And you can see the honorable mentions poems because I sent them out to everybody. So if you didn't get them for some reason, please contact me and I'll be sure to send it. And they'll also be on the website, and the top winners will be in the newsletter. I won't interrupt you again, Les.
Okay, you can anyway. So the second person who's an honorable mention is Pat Nelson, or Patricia Nelson. And she wrote a poem called Cassandra. And Patricia's an activist poet, so she has the most magical imagery. She puts things together in a way that is just so startling and so evocative. So the poem Cassandra, I hope you get a chance to look at it. It's filled with that kind of imagery. The last honorable mention is Dana Rodney, and I hope it's Dana, not Dana, I'm not sure. And it's called Wildfire Elegy. And it possesses very interesting and relevant questions. And it's done in the most beautiful and spare poetic way. So I want you to remember the name Dana Rodney, because Dana Rodney has also won 3rd place. And I'm going to read to you her short bio. And then if Dana's here, she's going to read her poem. So Dana was born in Westchester, New York in 1962. Poetry was a passion of hers from a very young age. When asked as a child what she wanted to be when she grew up, she remembers saying confidently, a poet. Now retired, she's preparing 2 novels for publication, One Extraordinary Thing, a historical fiction, and The Last Polar Bear, echo fiction, which won 1st place in the 2021 Jessamine West Creative Writing Contest. Dana, are you here?
Oh, there you are.
Yes, actually, with you in person and making her way up. Come on up there. As she makes her way up, let's give her another round of applause.
Get right in front of me. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, they can't see you.
We can't see you.
The camera is there. Okay. Now we can see you.
Okay, so the poem, my 3rd place winning poem is titled Collect My Dust. And I wrote this poem after I read a story about a Muslim woman who was forced to wear a burqa and had many of her personal freedoms taken away from her. God, when I die, collect my dust, but do not remake me a woman. Make of me a stone, a rock reposing on the lap of the earth, unnoticed, elemental, resplendent in the cold moonlight, empty of utterance, of no particular use, except perhaps to toss into the sea. One ecstatic splash, the only word I speak. Thank you.
Dana.
It's amazing, huh? The 2nd place winner.
When the answer right, there she goes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Les.
The 2nd place winner is Jean Wong. Unfortunately, Jean is not with us today. Her poem was really wonderfully original and quirky, just like Jean. And that it was interesting in the fact that it was written in a way that it communicated visually. I wish we had, I thought about this and had it put up so you could see it, but it kind of sprawled all over the paper in a very odd way that only emphasized what it was that she was communicating. It is posted. Linda will make sure that everybody can see it. And I would definitely check it out because not only is it well done, it is absolutely charming.
Liz, I'm on Zoom.
So Jean is there.
Oh,
Jean is there. I'm sorry. I sent you a note letting you know that Jean was coming and that she thought she could make it and just would have to run after.
Well, Linda, you know where all your notes go.
I know.
For some reason, Linda's notes always go into my spam collection, and it's usually right after an ad for male enhancement. We don't know why. Okay, Jean, can you read us your poem?
Yes, I'll be glad to. And thank you so much. I really feel as if poets and Redwood writers are really in the stratosphere. And just to be considered in this group, I'm just gobsmacked. The name of my poem is called Attendance. In first grade, my teacher wrote my name on the blackboard because I was arranging my crayons and hadn't heard her say, "Put your hands in your lap and look at me." The name, sprawled like white ghost lines, was left to screech all morning. And the next day, more shame was smeared. I see Jean is paying attention today. Could I have stood, told her and myself before splayed on the board? I was there, my crayon colors blinking like flower stalks. Afterwards, I disappeared into a thick choke of chalk. It took years to resurface, wary, cautious, attentive.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Our first place winner is Barbara Armstrong. And, I have a background in advertising, and we would always look for something when we're creating an ad that is sticky. The word sticky always came up. We wanted to have something that stayed with people. And one of the things I would say about this poem is that, and it's probably not the most euphemistic thing to say, but it's sticky. You remember the imagery here. It's unforgettable. And even though I'm aware of what it says, because I've read it a couple of times now, or maybe 4 or 5 times now, is that I'm always profoundly affected by it. It literally brings me to tears each time. It is so evocative and so authentic and so powerfully emotive and truthful without being cloying or, well, you'll see. I don't want to say very much more. I do want to just read what Barbara said about herself. Barbara Armstrong enjoys the nuanced power of words and their intrinsic music. Her poems have appeared in RW anthologies, Phoenix, Crow, And Yet, and Beyond Distance, and others. She's a devoted member of the Poetry Collective in Sebastopol. Other interests include gourd and shaker box crafting, linguistics, construction, Balkan music, and organic blueberry farming. So take it away, Barbara. Make us all cry.
Am I unmuted? Hello, everybody. And I am so honored and pleased to be here. I think I just lost my picture. There we go. I'm really honored to be here, and I so much appreciate the poetry community in Sebastopol and Sonoma County and Marin County and Napa County. And I'm so surprised at how large it has become and how important it has become to me personally. Thank you all so very much for being there and supporting. This poem is called Jay, and it's written about somebody who lived downstairs for 30 years, and you don't know until someone's gone where exactly they fit in your life. And this is about that nebulous feeling that you can't put your finger on. I tried to express it through imagery, so hopefully it'll do that for you. Jay, you never waved goodbye. Sitting upright in the passenger seat of your daughter's white sedan, you held your pillow close to your chest, looked neither toward our house nor away, but fixed your focus straight ahead into your own uncertain destiny. The gate clanged shut. I wonder, did you see me wave goodbye? On the deck downstairs, your tarnished watering can sits dry as last week's yesterdays. Heavy in their oaken barrels, your precious Chinese jades extend their sturdy arms in all directions. Totems of abundance and good fortune still flank the door of your hideaway, now left strangely open. Beyond the rail, I see what you must have always noticed as the summers wane, that gnarled apple tree enacting the final episode of its season. So full of promise in July, the Gravensteins now spill their knobs of gold and bronze across the stubbled hill. The scent of fermentation draws the doe, who lifts her head with calm, reflective eyes to take me in. The feral fox that used to sidle past your bedroom door has taken to sleeping in your outdoor chair. Its telltale paw prints claim the cushions now you are gone. The whir of flight shivers the redwood branches. A feather drifts through loosened air. Down from the breast of a mourning dove descends in languid motion, waving side to side like the gloved hand of a queen. It rides a shallow tide and comes to rest upon my palm, like an afterthought or a talisman. Thank you.
So there you have it. There are winners. I really want to say that anybody that's listening who writes poetry, please send it into the anthology in January when we open it for your submissions. And if you did not win this contest, that didn't mean you didn't win our hearts. So please resubmit. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean. It's a privilege to do your anthologies. It's a privilege to judge your contests.
Thank you, Les. And Linda and Fran. One of the things that I love about poetry is that anybody can actually do it. And Les and Fran and Linda would be the first to mention that. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's the beauty of poetry. So if you've never tried your hand, there's probably more poets in this club than there are people who write fiction. There's definitely a close tie between poetry and memoir in this club. One of the things that I love about poetry is that it's this ethereal thing that comes up from the inside and just comes out viscerally onto a page and can take all kinds of forms and shapes. And that's the beauty. Beautiful poem. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At this time, we're going to share a little bit more recognition about our membership. Roger, I think we have, where were we off, 2012 to 15, somewhere in that neck of the woods. How many people are glad to actually be able to meet in person?
Sort of, kind of.
Sort of, kind of. How many are still a little freaked out about meeting in person?
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you all for keeping your masks on and being aware, because if we stay safe and we're able to do this, that pile of snacks over there is going to keep finding its way back, and they're going to be there till they're gone. So grab a few on your way out too. So 2016 to 2018, I'm going to just mention a few words here because a lot of the folks that are on this list are still very active in the club. There's Judy is on this list, Tommy Whitener. There's a lot of board members, a lot of the support team that is part of making my job much easier as a president. I think my name's on there somewhere.
2017.
So, 2017.
Yeah.
And like Linda said, 2017, I joined the club in 2017. 2018, I was on the board. 2019, I was president. 2020, in the pandemic, I'm president. And it's just kind of how it works. So what Chris was saying is I got to know people by volunteering and being a part of. And even though I was scared spitless about doing this anthology with my wife, we chose to take that on as co-editors and come up with what I feel is something that we can be very proud of. And it's not just because we put the time and energy in, but we had a team of volunteers, from judges to editors to proofreaders to how many total authors were in here? 40, I want to say it was 49. 49 authors and stories that are as touching as some of the poems that you just heard from. So this is a great opportunity, not only from a volunteer perspective, but also to get your writing published for the first time. So that's one of the beauties, and it's something to be proud of. This is a proof copy. We've got final edits on the way to the press, probably on Monday or Tuesday of next week. It may or may not be available to order in time for Christmas. It's definitely not going to get here in time for Christmas, but it's a wonderful opportunity to showcase writing. And where I was going with this is, I didn't really get to know, I didn't know even as president the last year and a half, how many members there are and what each of you write. And by being an editor, I got to get a taste of what each of you, you know, in your heart, what comes out on the page. So I learned more about you without even seeing you in person through your writing. And that was one of the greatest experiences that I had outside of putting together the anthology. Roger, do you want to mention anything else about some of the folks on this list?
Well, I think if you're looking at the list, I see Darlene is in the Zoom group because I can see her there. But how about in the room? If you're on this list, want to stand up? So we want to make sure we recognize all of you and get your gift. But let's also look at, Sean, the kind of the next and most recent members. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the list from 2019 and 2020. Robin, who's in the back, joined us, and Nancy, who's in the back, joined us. I'm looking at some other names. Ann Heck joined us. Mary Walsh. I mention these because I see them as in publications. Heather Chavez was one of our speakers and did a wonderful job and joined the club because of that. Kathy Chase is from Chino and is a member, as a dual member. So if you're on this list, would you stand up? Anyone? And then finally, we have our new members. And we have some new members. This is just the ones that have appeared in our spotlight in the newsletter. If you haven't done this, when you join the club, we ask people to submit a picture and a brief bio, kind of a statement of their writing. And so there's Joe Adams and Richard Boyd, and he's really interesting. Don Gano and Cynthia, Diana, John, Deanna, Molly, Steve, I think is online. I can see him. There's Steve. Wave, Steve. There he is. Great. And anybody, a new member in the room here, would you stand?
Hi, I'm Melissa Provost, and I write poetry and fiction. And interestingly, I ended up publishing a couple nonfiction things just because I was in the right time, the right place, meeting the right person. And I am the director of operations for the San Francisco Writers Conference. So that's who I am. And we have on our board people that are sort of in each different area for the California Writers Club, because the conference is very much, the clubs are very involved with the conference. And I kept thinking, you know, I'm the only one in the North Bay. I need to join. So finally, I have 4 kids, so I'm pretty busy. Finally got around to, I get to join, so I'm very happy to meet you guys here and see you. I recognize so many of these names from people that have been involved with the San Francisco Writers Conference over the years. And I'm thrilled to finally be part of what you're doing here in Sonoma County.
Welcome. Thank you. How do you do?
I know.
And what is the date? San Francisco Writers Conference is coming up in February. What are the dates again?
It's President's Day weekend. I want to say the 17th through the 1st.
So February, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, President's Day weekend, 17th, 18th, and 19th, I believe is what it is. Roger, you know, you've had interaction with all these new members who's been part of the membership chair at least the last year or so here.
Well, I've said some of these names already, but what's important to understand is, well, we have 14 new members since June. If you look at really the calendar year of 2021 and the last quarter of the prior year, we really have over 32 new members who joined the club. It's remarkable. Some branches don't have 32 members, and we have 32 new members. I do see Steve on the Zoom. You want to have him say who he is? And you want to introduce yourself, Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Trenham. I'm with a group of students in my JC class who were formed to collude with the Sebastopol Center for the Arts for monthly poetry readings, at which we have guests. Our last guest was Fran Clegg at Holland, to everyone's delight. And if you look on the archives of the website, you can see any number of our programs for the last year or so. I also have a book out of poems called An Affront to Gravity. And it was a delight to have also Les Bernstein as a guest to my class. They all enjoyed her very much, and I think she enjoyed them too. So I'm delighted to be a part of this organization and hope to become more active in it in the future. And come to our readings. We're done for this year, but the fourth Tuesday of next month, we'll have a new reading as well as a new guest. Thank you.
Is that Jamie? Yeah, is that Jamie there?
Oh, hi, that's me, Jamie Zukowski. I'm an essayist and poet, and I've been working with Steve Trenham and the Poetic License Sonoma readings with the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. And through that community of poets, I had the opportunity to be inspired by and hear Fran Clegg and Les Bernstein presenting their work and their inspiration, which made me want very much to be a part of Redwood Writers. So I'm happy to be a new member. Thanks.
Thank you. Want to say who you are, Richard? Richard Boyd? Unmute yourself.
What was that? Did I?
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now.
Good. Tell us who you are.
Okay. So let's see, Richard Boyd, that's who I am. And I joined Redwood Writers just in 2021. And I must say it's been really a very enriching experience. I'm looking forward to when it's very comfortable to get together in person with a bunch of people. And I'm sure it'll become even more enriching then. But in the meantime, this will have to do. I was certainly inspired by the poems that were read today, and it gives me an incentive to write more poetry. I don't really regard myself as a poet. There are so many of those around. Obviously, the competition is pretty steep. But I love the contests that are ongoing with this group, and look forward to many years of participation. Thank you.
And it's been nice to have you come to the Writers' Circle as well, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
Well, welcome, and thank you everybody for being brave. We did send out an email, so we tried not to put you completely on the spot. But one of the things that is best is to have this opportunity for impromptu speaking. Cher, did you have something real quick?
Oh, real quick, yeah. My good friend John Lubeck mentioned yet, and I know he's been coming to this spot for at least 7 years. So John Lubeck.
Thank you for that. I kept looking over there, and John, you belong up here. Come on up. For those who do not know, John is, I don't want to show favoritism, but John is one of the most prolific and outspoken, humble writers in our club. So John, go ahead and share a few words if you would.
Yeah, right up here. Yeah, we gotcha.
First thing I want to say is I lost my mask. I was sitting there and I had the mask and went over there to the table, came back, and the mask was gone. So that's why I'm not wearing a mask. But Redwood Writers did a lot for me in my writing, And I want to thank the lady who just nominated me for whatever award I'm going to get. Thank you, Cher. I learned more from Cher's salons than I did any place else because she was very, very strict. You know, if you know Cher, you know how strict she is. And she had a 5-minute limit. And when I first started going to her group, I didn't have the discipline to, you know, get my say-so in within 5 minutes until I went to Cher. And then I went to her group a long time. And this year I sold 2 stories to Chicken Soup for the Soul. I published 5 articles in a magazine called Tow Line. I've got another one coming out in Tow Line next month. And the last time I came to a meeting here, you gave me $50, and I like that. But I came in second place. And who was first place? Jane Wong. Have I said that before?
Yeah.
No, so thank you to Cher for pointing out that I was neglected. And now my feelings are assuaged and I'm all right. Thank you, Sean.
I only got $50 for you, but you do get this. You get a bonus prize. You can have a Redwood Writers pen that's also stylish.
Do you do that for everybody?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Cher. And I want to give anybody else who's online, because I'm not seeing it there, if you didn't get an opportunity and you want to raise your hand virtually, we'll give that opportunity. And if not, we'll go ahead and transition to the next portion of the program.
We do. We have Susan Solomon.
There we go. Go ahead, Susan.
Woohoo.
Hello, everybody from Marin County. I just love Redwood Writers, and it's a wonderful, busy group. They're all volunteers doing tons and tons of work. And our poor little California Writers Club in Marin County has all of 32 members. So I completely support Redwood Writers. I love the salons. I love the events. I love the support we give one another. So thank you.
Thank you.
May I say something before we shift?
Absolutely.
I don't know if anybody's already said this because I was a few minutes late, but I just want to say, Sean, that when I was president, I was able to have my group, in person every month. And we were able to build the club and build camaraderie because we could see each other and touch each other. I know that Roger had the same thing. Sandy had the same thing. Robbie had the same thing, and you haven't. And I think you've just done a fantastic job. This has been very difficult. And for this club to stay as healthy as it has, to have people who are still joining. I mean, there are groups out there across the state that don't have 13 new members all year. And you have done a great job. And I just wanted to not let this day go by without saying that. And you and Chrissy, I know, has worked with you as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's seriously really and it is challenging. I took on this task in the middle of the front end or midstream with Toastmasters and had to keep those meetings going and board meetings. It's not easy. So the fact that we're able to grow 32 members from the 6 months of last year into this fiscal, and we have the previous year as well, and we have more people here today than ever before because it just extend the invitation. We open our arms. I try and remind everybody at each and every meeting that this is a club about writers helping writers. And if you don't have that in your heart or you didn't hear it enough today, through all of the people that got up here, this is a club that truly lives by its mission. And that to me is exciting. And it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of, your experience, whether of writing, whether you're beginning or intermediate or you're getting published multiple times in the same year in Chicken Soup for the Soul and magazines like John shared, or a very prolific self-published author like my wife, Chrissy. It's about writing, and we all get better when we write. Stephen King says that. How do you become a better writer? You write and read a lot. it's really, really simple. So thank you for giving me this opportunity and trusting me to do what we've done.
Well, real quick, I just want to out my husband real quick. When I first joined and then I started volunteering, he was like, you're taking, Redwood Writer's taking way too much of your time. I never see you. Why are you doing this? And I actually had to step back for a little bit. He was very happy about that because I went back to school for a couple of years. And but then he wrote a memoir. And suddenly he was a writer and he was understanding this. And then he joins and then he becomes the president of the friggin' club. So you're welcome.
Gene, come on up.
Isn't there a list of the older, and I don't mean age, who joined?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to show that. That's very good.
Oh, because she wanted to.
But you showed up, you had something else come up, and I'm glad that you stood up. Come on up here, and then we're going to introduce another award. So Jean is one of our vice presidents. She's also served as, well, here, you tell them all about you.
When did you join, Jean?
Stand up here.
2009.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to look at it to see when everybody
There's only
joined.
3 people in that list.
Well, I want to see it. I
will.
want to
Show you
see
later.
the 2010.
He'll show it to
Anyway, I just going to show it to me. I am happily in charge of author launch, where the authors of and in the new year get to present their book. And it's really fun to honor the people and make them stars. Another thing I'm in charge of is Redwood Writers at the Sonoma County Fair. And that is so exciting. We can all go and sell our books to the general public and meet everybody. Of course, it was a little difficult last year, but we did do it with masks on. And so that's what I enjoy doing with Redwood Writers. And I've been a member since 2009, and I probably will never quit.
Thank you. While Roger's trying to get the slide up there, we're going to transition into another award that is quite prestigious. I had an opportunity as being a president for the club to go join presidents of virtually every other club in the California Writers Club. At a meeting 2 months ago in Oakland, and at that meeting, Roger is president of the California Writers Club and the immediate past president of this club, and on the board of directors for Redwood Writers, and the 2020-2021 membership chair. As a Redwood writer, Roger has brought enthusiasm, encouragement, humor, and fun to club events. His efforts have focused on writing opportunities and publishing among branch members. He's a strong supporter of community education regarding the craft of writing. Roger serves as an associate editor on 5 Redwood Writers anthologies. He created Redwood Writers Press, and he continues to manage Redwood Writers Press Kindle Direct Publishing site, the Balker ISBN site, and Library of Congress number online website for RWP. Since joining Redwood Writers, Roger has been responsible for the club's audiovisual equipment, served as one of the club photographers, and produced a number of flyers, bookmarks, and programs, and is the key person responsible for those cool little books that we're handing standing out. Roger has served in the club's Sonoma County Fair Planning Committee, and he has been a strong supporter of the club's participation in the county fair. Finally, Roger has been a presence in 4 workshops, presenter in 4 workshops, and at 3 monthly meetings. That doesn't make sense, but he's been in almost every single meeting since he's been a member. He's been a presenter at 3 monthly meetings. In his career, Roger has been a university teacher, business consultant, workshop leader, facilitator, public speaker, speechwriter, researcher, parent trainer, and believe it or not, when the muck gets lost, a dog catcher. It is a great privilege and an honor to work alongside you, and thank you for your guidance in helping this job be easier for me. And the California presidents of the California Writers Club nominated and give Roger the prestigious Jack London Award to Roger Lubeck, PhD, from the California Redwood Writers.
There you go. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Sean, particularly. Jeannie Sloan, also in our group today, is another award winner. This is given out every other year, so while it's been in business quite a long time, there's a fairly limited list of honorees, and it's nice to have several here, and also Linda and others that are online. I just want to say I was a dog catcher. That's a real story. And I was a parent trainer because I don't have any kids. You know, that's perfect, right? I mean, you know, I could be a divorce counselor too, I guess. You know, the thing about this club is we have many writers that are, you know, they've been writers since they were children. They had diaries and they felt compelled to write. In my art class in 8th grade or 9th grade, the teacher said, "No future." When I failed my creative writing class in college, the instructor said, "No future." And I couldn't finish my PhD because I had to handwrite it and nobody could read my handwriting and it was completely illegible. And then I got my first Apple. And the Apple changed my life because it gave me eventually word processing and spell checker. And without spell checker and grammar checkers, I used 5. You know, I couldn't have 12 books published and I couldn't have written 18, which is what I've done in the last 20 years. And most of it really because of Redwood Writers. When I joined, I saw Linda and she came up to me and she said, "Have you ever done anything?" And I said, "Well, I edited a couple of books." And she said, "Oh, let me talk to you next month." And of course, I became the editor for Untold Stories, which is really a proud moment for me. This is a great club, great members. I'm happy to see so many here today. I think we have a wonderful president and board, and all of you, because most of you have volunteered for one thing or another. And I think we're all to be credited for what a really fantastic branch we have. There are many other good branches in California Writers, and I want to encourage all of those writers, but you guys are special. And I hope that I will see, by the way, in the last literary review, even though there's only 10% acceptance, 50 of you submitted stories and 12% were accepted. And I want to really encourage you. It's, you know, I know it's not enjoyable to be rejected, but that happens to all of us. But what's important is for us as a branch to continue to write great poetry and great prose, because we are an exceptional group of writers and we deserve to be in the best publications we can be in. So I want to thank everybody again. Thanks, Sean, and I will turn it back over.
It is about you guys, and now is the time when we get to do board announcements and member announcements. And I know that there's a couple little secret things back here of people. Does the board have anything that you want to announce up front that's coming up? I have one really super important announcement. we will have a conference next year. It's not going to be in May like we originally talked about. It's going to be in this building in October, on Saturday, October 8th. And my right arm over here, who was willing to step up before COVID, Pamela Heck, I would be honored and privileged, not to put you on the spot, to have you as a helpful volunteer coordinator. That means there's going to be a lot of help that is needed. I'll take care of the front end with Marilyn to make sure we get the right speakers and presenters. But outside of that, there's tons of opportunities to roll up your sleeves. So start thinking about that as we roll into this next year. Roger, you want to give a quick update on membership?
Yeah. Since you're all members, it doesn't apply because you're members. But starting January 1st is our half-year membership drive. And that's a time when you can join the club as a new member, but pay $42.50, I think it is, for the rest of the year. So if you have a neighbor, a friend, a daughter, a son, you know, who wants to be a writer, is a writer, is looking for support, I really would encourage you to get them to go online and join the club at the reduced cost, because it's a good deal. And we'd love to see some new members, because we're excited by having new writers in the club each month and over the year. So if you know someone, you know, let them know about this discount, because it's a really good deal.
Judy, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna. We talked about something at the last meeting, and John, you really embody that. Many people have never submitted their work outside of maybe a contest or the anthology, but there's lots of places to submit your work. And we're going to do a workshop where we talk about how do you do it, where do you find places to submit, and you get extra credibility when you are published in multiple places. So it's a time to challenge yourself. And as you know, next poetry anthology will open up in January, and we will also be having another prose anthology. So don't be afraid. You can get help, you can get other people to read your work before you even submit. There are lots of people in this group who want to see you succeed. And that's also the beauty of the salon and the writer's circle. You can test things out, see how it lands.
Gene, not Gene. I already been corrected once and I already blew it once. This, so you guys know, is Jeannie Sloan, not Jean Sloan. It's D on the end. Her name's pronounced Jeannie.
Thank you, Sean. And thanks for being present. And thank you, Roger. Very impressive. Yes,
Yeah, you're right in the light.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good now. You're good now.
You're good. You're good.
I'm
That's
good.
right.
Yeah,
that
you're
works.
perfect.
Author launch is February. I still have room. If you published a book between January 2020 and January 2021, go to the website, press author launch, and fill out the application, and I will make you a star. And you can sell your books, get recognition. You'll get 5 minutes to read from your book. And what I have found, when the author reads from their book, it sells. Thank you.
Sean, I wanted to talk about Writer Circle.
I was actually just going to do that, but I wanted to say one quick thing. You know, Jeannie has done the author launch for quite some time, and there's much like the fair and other things, conference, there's a lot of work that's entailed in making that happen. So thank you again for the efforts to keep that going, even in the midst of a pandemic. I'm going to transition over to Linda about Writer Circle. Robin already mentioned that the next salon isn't until February, the last Saturday in February. So that will be updated in the new salon or in the newsletter. Linda, take it away.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to remind everybody that the next Writer's Circle is on January 22nd. We meet at my house at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be sending the invitation out, and you need to click on that and respond that you're coming. You can also do it through the website. And your reading time is 5 minutes. I can't make you a star like Jeannie can, but I can give you lots of love, and we always have a wonderful time, and you're very, very welcome. So I hope that you will come. And also we'll be kicking off the anthology in January. It's going to be a very short submission period. So get those poems ready now. Okay, bye.
Perfect. And then I'm going to bring up Chrissy. We're going to talk briefly about the anthology and give you guys a sneak peek because nobody's seen it yet. But we have a proof copy of the next anthology. It is getting ready to go to KDP for publication and ordering. So the plan is to be able to have copies here so you can purchase it either online or in person at the next meeting in January. What else do we want to say? Party? We will have a reading and some kind of a celebration. We still do not have a date yet. So look for that in the newsletter because we thought today's what, the 18th? We have 13 days to figure that out. So it'll be coming out sometime in January.
What we do want to say, and we'll push it more next month, but if you've ever thought about being the editor-in-chief for an anthology, here's your chance because the next one's coming up next year. And you can choose the theme. We have a bunch of people who are ready to be your editors, to be your launch team. We'll be there to help support you, but we will not be doing it. So if this has ever been your dream or you've been thinking about this dream, come and contact us and we'll get you started.
Plus it looks good on a resume, right? So at this time, I don't think we have any more board announcements, member announcements. If anybody has something new and exciting that they want to come up and share about, or even not new and exciting, but you have an opportunity because the floor will be yours and Tommy Whitener is making his way to the stage, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sean. I'm Tommy Whitener, and I'm pleased to announce the publication of my new collection of short stories. It's called California Vignettes. And, you know, nobody should stand up to announce the publication of a new book unless they have a book in their hand. Well, my book is so new that I don't have one. I bought one of Robbie's. I know she's a wonderful reader, so I look forward to it. But a couple words about my book. It's set in all different places in California. Anybody know the Mission District in San Francisco?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, we know that. That's Loopy's Folly. Anybody know Highway 5 and the stinky cattle yards down by Calumet City? Sure you do. That's 4 on 5. And maybe Topanga Canyon between Malibu and the Valley. Yeah, that's Mail Order Bride. They're all in there. So it'll be coming out soon. It's available now on Amazon.com. Thank you very much. Again, California Vignettes.
California Vignettes, I love it. 4 on 5 and Mail Order Bride. It kind of rhymes. Do we have, Elaine, are you making your way up?
Yeah. Many of you have hung in there with me while I've been writing a creative nonfiction book, and now it was a biography. Actually, it was creative nonfiction to begin with, first person, then it became a biography, and now it's back to first person creative fiction about Barbara Dusty Rhodes, who was a flight attendant and stewardess in the 50s and overturned the rules by that fired them when they got married and when they were fired for becoming age 32 because they were too old for their job duties. So anyway, she was a lobbyist, and for her union. And she also was one of 2 people who were the first to the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission and filed the very first discrimination complaint in the country after the Civil Rights Act was passed based on sex discrimination. So anyway, I finally have a literary agent, and that's the big news because they're also, her husband is Jeff Herman, and they both wrote a book about how to write a book proposal and where you can find a literary agent. So I thought it was ironic that I did finally meet Deb, and she has a business that does soup to nuts marketing and publishing, coaching, and I feel really fortunate to finally have an opportunity to work with her, and hopefully it will get published next year.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
No, I know.
right. Come on over, Mara.
Yeah.
Judy will direct you.
Okay. Okay. I gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah.
Hello, I actually just got 3 short stories published, which is very exciting, in 2 different books. They're both winter themed magic and other stuff. This one is called Winter Wonders, and you can almost see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
good.
yeah, it looks really cool because some of the
It's
stories are creepy, some are comforting, there's a whole range of
Yeah, I
things.
like it.
The one that I got in there was an idea that I wanted to write for a long time, so I'm glad I got the excuse, about 2 cultures, one that has fire magic and one that has water magic, and they worship the opposite elements. And one fire guy gets lost, and it's first contact for the other culture. So there's some very interesting just culture clash and weird stuff going on. So that was very fun. The other one, the books aren't out yet physically. They're in the mail somewhere. So here is my cover. It is called Welcome to Simmons, Detective Spencer.
This way. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So this
Oh,
one's a
good.
really interesting one. It's technically a horror anthology. I don't usually write horror, so mine's horror light. But the idea is that all the stories tie together in a really neat way. The detective is coming to this small town and has to deal with all the weird stuff that is suddenly happening. And a lot of it's just, okay, the residents know there's strange things, but now there's a lot more strange things. And there's, there's a monster in the ice skating lake that's following you under the ice. There's something in the woods. There's this, that, and the other thing. Santa Claus is a mob boss. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to write because all the writers got to work together and just make sure everything ties in. And I got to use more fun ideas that I'd wanted to do for a while. So I actually did 2 short stories in this one because at first we didn't have enough people. So we had to all write some more because some people had to drop out. So I did one about the ice monster in the lake and one about the snowman that is actually something scary. And that was a fun idea because it's actually an Australian snow snake that coils up to stay warm and then lunges at people. And that was fun to write about. Also the really talkative and chatty fire demon that they get to help deal with their snow snake problem. So yes, lots of fun to write. And if anyone likes horror, that anthology has a lot of scary things and some fun things. And the other one has less of the scary things, but there's some of those in there too. So hooray, this is fun.
Come on up.
That's the spot. Hi. No, I haven't written anything, but Writers Helping Writers. One of our newer members is Britney Sweeney, and she has a book coming out very soon. And tomorrow she is having a book launch at the Oxford Suites in Roanoke Park. It's at 1:30, and she's going to do a reading and signing. There's going to be a raffle. Q&A, and her book is called Paralyzed. So it's a new suspense thriller. So if anybody can come, you're welcome, and it should be a good time, and we want to support especially our new writers. So
nice. That's fun too, because I think Brittany's only been a member for a little over a year. Yeah. So, like Chrissy, you got a book that's coming out, you want to try and figure it out, or you're planning on writing a book. And then you actually publish a book. So come on up.
Hi, I just realized I probably should announce this to you because someone asked me about whether California Writers Club members get a discount to the Writers Conference, and we don't have any sort of discount set up like that. The best discount is actually to register really early. But you can go for free as a volunteer. And so if you do feel like you would like to work at the conference, you get to go to everything. I think you have to volunteer for a minimum of 2 days. And today there was a blog published of mine on like how to budget, what are the best places to put the extra money you might have. And buried in that is the information on how to volunteer with a link to go to. So if you go to sfwriters.org, so their blog, today's blog, we'll have the link in it to become a volunteer for the Writers Conference. And that's how I got started in 2012. I think was the first conference I volunteered at. For the last 5 years, I've been the director of operations. So you volunteer, they move you up the ranks fast. So I recognize so many names from that. People have come and volunteered. And we would love to have more of our local writers at the conferences volunteers.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I can't see, but if there is anybody, just jump up and down, do jumping jacks online. Let Judy know, and we'll go ahead and unmute you so you can make your announcement. We'll give that a minute.
Yeah. I don't think we have anybody doing that. Oh,
Linda's got
raising her hand
one
again.
more hand waving over there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, very quickly, I'm doing quite a few lectures coming up on art history, and it involves a lot of writing. So I feel that it's part of my writing that I'm doing these days. And what I'll do is send you a list and then the dates and where you can tap in. Mostly they're on Zoom. So thank you and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, Linda, and thank you again for your kind words. And thank each and every one of you for showing up online, showing up in person, and making it a joy to make my job so easy, because I couldn't do it without each and every one of you in your own small way, or even large way. It makes my job so much easier. Thank you all. Meetings adjourned in person. We have lots of treats over here. Now is the time for your merry jingle on, if you wish. I don't have Christmas music because I've heard enough already. But meeting adjourned, and thank you. We'll see you next month on January 18th, I believe.
Thanks.